It's quite easy to feel a bit doom and gloom about the world at the moment. There is continued financial pressures, rising costs of living, and rather unsettling inter-country politics make for grim reading when you look at the headlines day to day. But fortunately, in the world of cars, there's still plenty to get excited about. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, cars that put a smile on your face. And we kick off with the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. It's a car which is designed for fun, but also practicality and spaciousness. We've also got the Porsche 911 here in Carrera 4 GTS setup, which aims to produce the kind of all-rounder experience that we expect from a 911, but with some more technology inside than ever before. And finally, we have this car which I'm sure you will have noticed because it's very difficult not to notice. It's the BMW M3 CS, a lighter, more hardcore version of the already quite aggressive M3. Now, I'm quite excited about all three cars that we've got here today. They've all got that grin-inducing factor that aims to make everyday life a little bit more exciting. So I think the best way to see what they've got to offer is to get behind the wheel. So let's go and drive them. The Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio is all about those key ingredients which give a little bit of a hint as to the performance it can deliver. On this car we've got the telltale Alfa features like the triangle front air intake and the offset number plate, which are real kind of telltale features of a classic Italian Alfa Romeo. This car in its particularly striking green colour looks to our eyes very, very good indeed. But there are also some other features that we like, such as the cloverleaf badges on the flanks and the large exhaust pipes at the rear. With its wide blistered arches and its massive front grilles, the M3 CS is anything but subtle. Particularly here with its white exterior paint and contrast black stripes, it's a car that turns heads wherever it goes. But the fact that it's all based around a four-door saloon car layout means that it does have an element of normality to bring down some of the madness, though it really is quite a mad car with all of its lightweight carbon fibre elements and these very aggressive front lights. Against this company, this grey on black setup is, well, it's quite quiet, but in classic Porsche fashion, it's all put together really nicely. And those hallmark touches like the oval headlights and low hunkered down position on the road ensure that you really do know this is a 911. It's something of a convoluted story inside the interior of the Alfa Romeo Stelvio QV. I like the seating position and I love these bucket seats as well. They're really supportive and they look great too. But the overall forward part of the cabin is let down by some poor materials which just feel a bit cheap and a bit, well, plasticky. And the main screen, though recently updated for the Stelvio, lacks the kind of intuitive functions that you'd expect, and against rival operating systems it just doesn't feel as easy to get along with. However, there's a decent amount of space for those people sitting in the back, though because of that raked roofline it feels quite hemmed in and a bit claustrophobic at times, particularly when you have this all black upholstery. Having said that, the 525 litre boot is of a decent size and makes this a more than adequate practical SUV for families if that's something you're after. The interior of the M3 CS is an exciting place to be, starting off with these huge bucket seats, which are admittedly a little bit of a pain to get in and out of, but once you're in, they're very comfortable and actually make longer journeys not as bad as you might think. There's a large central screen in the middle, and because of the lightweight ethos of the M3 CS, we've lost the central armrest, though interestingly we've kept air conditioning and rear seats. And speaking of the space back there, it's not too bad. This is a large saloon car after all, so there's a decent amount of legroom, though it's eaten into by those carbon-backed bucket seats. Step to the boot and you've got 480 litres to play with, so if you want to put all your racing helmets for you and the family when you go on track, then there's more than enough space to take them. The interior of the Porsche 911 has been built to a very high standard, though oddly enough this car does have a slightly squeaky rattle going on up there, which breaks away from the usual tradition of making cars that are very nicely assembled. However, we've got lovely clear screens, nice physical controls for the heating and ventilation, and for key driver settings such as the suspension, traction control, and the exhaust. Rear seat wise, this isn't the best car if you're looking to take adults along for the ride. The space back there really is only suited for small kids or children in car seats, and there is actually ISOFIX points on both of those rear seats if you do want to fit those child seats. In terms of boot space, well, there's not an awful lot. It's all contained up front in the front, and you'll find around 132 litres of storage space, so around the right size for an overnight bag, a couple of softer bags, or a small carry-on suitcase. In terms of load space quality, the 911 isn't up there, but it's a compact sports car, so you have to bear that in mind. I think it's telling that in such good company, with the 911 and the M3 CS, the Stelvio manages to still remain very exciting. We've got a 2.9 litre bi-turbo V6 engine up front with 503 brake horsepower, and that equates to a 0 to 60 mile an hour time of around about 3.5 seconds. But performance aside, it's the way this car handles itself which is so exciting. The steering is really quick, and you've got these wonderfully large gear selector paddles behind the steering wheel which provide a great bit of theatre in that action between changing gears. It's all accompanied by a fantastically old school sounding exhaust note, and it's combined in a package which is still very practical and usable on a daily basis, and it leads you to think, just, well, how can you beat it? It's great, it looks great, it goes great, it feels great inside. So yeah, Stelvio QV remains one of my very top performance SUVs. So things get a little bit more serious. We step into the BMW M3 CS, which is one of BMW's hardest and most focused saloons it currently offers. Its 3 litre twin turbocharged petrol engine has been stoked up to 543 brake horsepower over the 503 brake horsepower that you'd get in the standard M3, and that results in a 0 to 60 mile an hour time of just over 3.2 seconds. In this company, between the 911 and the Stelvio, it is by far the most aggressive. It feels alert, it feels like it doesn't really want to calm down or let you calm down. You've got to be on it the whole time, and it will reward you for doing that. It's just not the sort of car that you could probably relax in. I don't think after a long day at work you'd get into it thinking, that's going to make me feel really comfortable by the time I get home, because the CS, with its firm ride and very grabby accelerator, isn't the kind of car to relax you at the end of your busy day. However, it's very exciting, and in this group test, which we're looking at cars that put a smile on your face, I'd say it's very much up there. It's quite hard to go wrong with a 911 really, and this 911 Carrera 4 GTS version feels like a very good point in the 911 range. It's got excellent traction thanks to its all-wheel drive system, and the 3 litre flat 6 engine under the rear, not under the bonnet, produces more than enough power to keep things interesting, and actually equates to a 0 to 60 mile an hour time just over 3 seconds, so it's very quick indeed. However, against the M3, it feels more cultured, feels like you'd be a little more relaxed driving it day to day. And against the Stelvio, well, it's more agile and more focused, but then it is lower to the ground, and it is a smaller sports car overall. Sure, the understated nature of the 911 means that it could feel a bit like an obvious choice, but I think this GTS version puts some nice extra sparkle into this already quite sparkling package. You definitely can't fault it for the way it gets down the road either. This is a polished and well-adjusted car for road driving. Every part that you interact with feels impeccably well-tuned. The damping, the brake pedal, the steering, it all feels absolutely spot on. And that's what rewards you, both when you're driving it slowly and when you're driving it more quickly too. It is a car that is very exciting, and it feels special, and that's something that's very hard to get these days. As expected, all 3 cars here are very exciting and good fun to drive. I've got a particular soft spot for the Stelvio Quadrifoglio actually. It's a car that you could use each and every day, but I think the V6 engine gives it boatloads of character, and just look at it, it looks great. The M3 CS meanwhile is a far more aggressive, focused option. And alright, you could just choose the regular M3 and you'd still have a great car if you did, but the CS version takes things to another level, though it is quite full on. It's not a car you feel like you can ever really relax with. And finally, the 911. Well, the 911 is a car that is for all occasions. It's exciting, it's well made, and it's really comfortable inside when you're up to speed. It's also a great size for use in the UK. You don't need to worry about parking it. It fits everywhere. And that's the reason why, actually, the 911 would be the one that I would be taking home and taking the keys for. But you should let us know in the comments section which of these 3 you'd pick. We've got 3 very different options here, but they all feel very exciting to drive. And most of all, they put a grin on your face each time you turn the key. Thank you for watching this Motors 3-car comparison review of the Porsche 911, the BMW M3 CS and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, and remember, if you subscribe to the Motors YouTube channel and hit that bell icon, you'll get notified each time we upload a new video just like this one.